続きまして、ホートンワークスプリンシパルソリューションエンジニアデイブ・ラストにより講演をいたします。
Thank you very much. So, thanks everybody for joining us this morning. I couldn't have wished for two better sessions to come before me to introduce a lot of the background behind this. But I'm here today to talk to you about the Hortonworks cybersecurity platform powered by Apache Metron. So, cybersecurity, you would think, is a solved problem. The news, perhaps at the moment, would tell us otherwise. It's not because there aren't enough tools out there. There are plenty of cybersecurity tools, SIEM platforms, UABA analysis platforms, log analysis platforms. But they exist as a series of silos. And for many of you here, I'm sure, are veterans in the big data world. It's maybe sounding or starting to sound a little bit similar, like a standard big data problem. Similarly, if you talk about the Security Operations Center or SOC analysts, typically they're dealing with far too many alerts. It's just not possible for them to process and to filter and to investigate that many alerts. Somewhere between hundreds, thousands, some organizations, tens of thousands of alerts per SOC analyst. It's just not humanly possible to take a look at those and to investigate them in any depth. So things slip through the cracks. Too much noise. One particular, very blatant alert somewhere may generate alerts across multiple different platforms. And if you can't correlate these things together, you just don't know whether it's multiple separate events that just happen at the same time, or whether it's a single concerted attack. And many of the existing solutions today are just too slow. We need to operate far faster. We need to tackle these issues at real time. You can no longer deal with things in micro batch or any significant latency between any of these issues. And finally, many organizations have built cybersecurity data lakes. A Gartner blog post earlier on this year suggests that many of those will fail or will be very expensive and deliver relatively minimal return on investment. Much of this is because organizations are doing a lot of the basic plumbing work themselves, and everyone is doing it in isolation. So we've already had some great introductions about the underlying platforms, HDP, Hortonworks Data Platform for data at rest, and HDF, Hortonworks Data Flow for data in motion. And these are the core components that underpin Apache Metron. So, a Hortonworks cybersecurity platform powered by Apache Metron is really a set of components. It's really one of the first very data-driven applications that Hortonworks have released into the wild. And it's very much focused on real-time cybersecurity analytics. So that's real-time from a point of ingesting data from the very outset. It's providing real dashboarding and a workbench that allows you to drill into that data in more depth. It also means that once you've got this data ingested, you can enrich it and correlate it throughout its life cycle. So that by the time the data gets to the very end, this data is fully enriched. This means that an analyst that's starting to investigate something doesn't have to then swivel between multiple different systems doing, whois lookups or GeoIP lookups or looking into HR or Active Directory or any other things. Everything is already enriched in that single message, each and every message. And we have the ability to do full-blown machine learning, but there are some downsides to full-blown machine learning. It can be slow. When you're dealing with real-time data, you need to do as much as you can to keep the speed and the throughput up. So we have something within Metron called the profiler, and the profiler allows you to do detailed statistical analysis on the fly of your data as it's streaming through in real time on the platform. Now, this means you can keep the speed. You get, 95% instead of 99% accuracy, but that, plus the real-time nature, gives you a very, very concrete picture of what's going on. And you can always use that accuracy driven to then decide what additional messages you want to send to a full machine learning model. So, this is the full Apache Metron architecture. I'm not going to go into this in too much depth during this keynote, but I do have a session later on today where I'm going to go into far more depth. So if you'd like to know more, please look forward to my session towards the end of the day today in this same room. So why don't we take a quick look at the Hortonworks cybersecurity platform and see what it has to offer. So, on the Hortonworks cybersecurity platform, this is the first thing that you'll notice, and for anybody familiar with HDP and HDF, this will probably look very familiar to you as well. This is just the standard Ambari control panel. You'll see a few extra services here. So we've got Elasticsearch, Kibana, and Metron services. That means it's very easy to integrate it into an existing HDP and HDF environment. There's no complex manual install, no building up something brand new. You can literally install it on an existing environment. So what comes next? Luckily I know how to fix that. So we've got Apache NiFi. Apache NiFi is used for a lot of the core log ingest side of things. So if you're bringing in data from firewalls, routers, applications, DNS and DHCP, even Active Directory, you can bring that data in using NiFi. Now we don't actually do too much heavy lifting in NiFi. We leave a lot of that to some of the core layers coming later. But basically we use it for transport of data from the very edge in some cases through into Kafka. And once the data's in Kafka, some of the real magic starts. So this is the Metron management UI, and everything you've seen up to and including this point is largely used by the platform administrators or the cybersecurity data admins that are responsible for getting data into the platform and managing it once it's there. So you can see here we have a bunch of sensors. A sensor is just a name for an element that's bringing data into the platform and manipulating it in some way. So if we take a look at this squid proxy sensor, you can see we've got some green text here that suggests the Kafka topic exists and it's emitting. That's a good sign. That means we've got data flowing through. You can also see that we've got a parser for this. It's very simple squid, so we can build a parser using Grok. And this is actually a Grok editor here. So if I wanted to make some changes, I could test it with actual messages on the fly. And that just pulls a message out, tests my statement against it, so you can make sure that your statement's correct. Taking a look at a few other things, we can see the schema for the data. And also, we can start to understand what additional elements I'm going to do to this. So, GeoIP enrichment built in. Transforming it to remove the domain without subdomains. There's a lot of other things that you can do here, but I'll just point you to the advanced view where you can see here we've done a few other features towards manipulating this data. So this is largely dealt with by the people that are managing the data flowing into the platform. So what about the Security Operations Center analysts? Well, we've got the hot index layer data. In this particular case, it's Elasticsearch. Could just as easily be Solar. And you can see here all the standard pretty dashboards that you'd expect for a Security Operations Center. Also, we've got an Alerts UI. This allows people, usually, again, Security Operations Center analysts, to really start drilling into the data. filtering it based on particular time ranges, or indeed click to generate some searches. There's also the ability to display whatever columns you want on this, and that could be any column based on any data source that you have ingested. So, finally, this is of course ingesting into not just something like Elastic, but also HDFS. And that means you can do anything that you would on a normal big data platform. In this case, we're just doing some quick Spark SQL analysis. And look here, there's a user that's logged on to 60 distinct systems, which is significantly above the norm. Possibly something worth investigating. So, just as I wrap up, just want to talk about a few of the successes that we've had so far. So first of all, Telstra, a telco provider in Australia, announced just a couple of weeks ago at our DataWorks Summit, they now have multiple security operations centres in production powered by Apache Metron, and that is actually one of them. Capital One has been a partner with us for quite some time on Apache Metron. This is actually them presenting back at our Hadoop Summit in 2016. They're now ingesting well over 1 billion events a day through the Apache Metron environment, and that's just their internal traffic. That's not even talking about any external traffic. Also, QSite IT, another managed security services provider, very recently in the news, just announced KPN, another major telco in Europe, has decided that they want to acquire QSite IT to boost their managed cybersecurity services offering. Again, QSite IT working very closely with us, co-developing, and a very strong Metron customer, and also Hortonworks cybersecurity platform. So, with that, I hope this has whetted your appetites. If you'd like to know more, go deeper into Apache Metron. I have a session here this afternoon, and I hope you'll join me for it. Thank you very much.